Welcome, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome to Best of Both Worlds Studios, Larry Sabato. Larry Sabato is the director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics, and he is also the editor-in-chief of Sabato's Crystal Ball, which is must read in the political set. It's a newsletter that provides nonpartisan political analysis. And Larry is staying up late. It's about 11:30 at night in Charlottesville, Virginia, to talk to us about Joe Biden's speech that he has just delivered at the Democratic National Convention. So first of all, thanks for joining us, Larry.
Thank you, Sarah. Great to see you again.
Well, and I should mention that you have one other credential, if we can call it that, which is I'm very happy to say that you were the guy who gave me my start in politics as my professor at the University of Virginia.
It's on my resume. That's how important it is. Okay, I just want you to know that.
You are way too kind. You are on mine, that's for sure. Let's talk, if we can, about Joe Biden's speech. I want you to give him a grade, just like you used to give me grades. So what's your grade for Joe Biden's speech?
It's easy. That was an A. It's not going to be an A+ because there were some flaws here and there. But you need to remember, I have watched Joe Biden since the evening of election night in November 1972, when this 29-year-old kid running in Delaware managed to upend the incumbent US senator who had also been governor, who was frankly a legend in Delaware. And keep in mind, Richard Nixon was sweeping Delaware and 48 other states on his way to re-election. And somehow Biden was able to win. And right then and there, people said, this guy could be president. Well, it took him a while and he ran twice unsuccessfully, but it looks like the third time is the charm.
It really was an opportunity for the Democrats to have their moment with the mic, because this was 4 days when they could make their case. And one question that I've been asked here in Australia quite a few times actually is, why hasn't the case been made more forcefully about the platform for the party? Exactly what Joe Biden would do as president, build back better. What does that mean? And what I have said is that I think that this is really an issue where they are calling into question the character of this particular president, and they're making it about character. That's very common in US politics, to try to talk about the character of the other guy. Do you think that's true? And if so, is it more true this year, Larry?
It's definitely more true this year. The character of Donald Trump, well, first of all, he's unusual in almost every way. But we just never had a president like this. Take Obama. Obama has received some criticism for his speech last night, Wednesday, which was really devastating for Trump. That is, he ripped into Trump and he made a number of very powerful criticisms. And yes, that is actually unprecedented, at least at a modern political convention. I've attended them all since 1976. I've never seen a former president attack the incumbent the way President Obama did. But you have to turn that around. There has never been a president who trolled his predecessor almost on an hourly basis on Twitter and speeches. So it's been a 4-year battle. And I think Trump made a big mistake in the beginning in assuming that because Obama was out of power, he could use him as a punching bag for 4 years. Well, Trump got punched back, and he got punched back hard by both Barack Obama and Mrs. Obama, Michelle Obama.
Well, he did. And not only the Obamas, but there was really a kind of a cast of characters. It was interesting to see this first virtual convention, Larry, because there were a lot of things that actually worked really well about it, because it gave an opportunity for us to hear from a lot of voices. For example, what comes to mind right now is Andrew Yang speaking at the beginning of this evening saying, if you voted for Trump or you didn't vote at all, I get it, but this time it's important. Or Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, a double amputee, a veteran, who called the president the coward in chief. Strong words. How important was it, and what were the Democrats doing as they built their case on the pandemic, the economy, and character?
Mainly, Sarah, the Democrats were using this convention to reach their own base because one of the key problems that Biden has is he can be bland. Some people say boring. I don't think it's boring. I think it's bland. And it doesn't excite the troops. If there's one thing you could say about Donald Trump, it's that he excites his base, he excites his troops. So they were trying to reach that base with, as you said, a big cast of characters, all carrying different messages, leading to the same conclusion. You need to vote for Joe Biden. Whether it worked, we'll see. I don't think there's going to be much of a bounce from this convention. I don't think Trump is going to get much of a bounce from his, no matter what he does, because we're so polarized. I don't know a single person. This is incredible. I do not know a single person who is undecided.
How important was the selection of Senator Harris, and will that make up, in your view, some of the enthusiasm deficit between Biden and Trump?
That's the hope of the Democrats in the Biden campaign. And it will certainly do something for the ticket for some of the reasons that you mentioned. She's in her mid 50s. Biden, of course, is 77. Donald Trump is 74. We've ended up again with two presidential nominees in their 70s. And while it's looking younger and younger to me, I don't think it's wise to have someone of that age as president. So that applies to both of them. But Kamala Harris is young and vigorous. People can see her stepping in at a moment's notice, which is really the main job of the vice president, other than assisting the president and helping to back him up on his programs. So I think it's helped. We always need to remember that people vote for president. They do not vote for vice president. Right now, it's a big story. The next time you will hear about the vice presidential candidates is the one vice presidential debate in early October, and then they'll be anonymous until election night. We just don't follow them. They're on the back roads, attending conferences that a presidential nominee would never go to.
Do you think that Joe Biden did a good enough job of answering perhaps the single biggest knock that Republicans have on him, which is he too old? Has he lost a step? Is he not up to the job because of that? What do you think?
It was the best speech I've ever seen Joe Biden give. And as I mentioned, I've been following him since election night 1972. He's not known as a great orator, but Americans don't really want Cicero as president. They don't care about that much. They want a president to be able to communicate, but he doesn't have to bring the rafters down every time he speaks. So I think he did quite well. I thought that was a powerful address. Yes, as some of your viewers have suggested to you, it wasn't laden with policy details, but that's not what Americans who are likely to vote for Joe Biden want to hear. They want to hear how Joe Biden is going to be different than Donald Trump. You'd think people would know it automatically because they're as different as night and day, but it always helps to reinforce that. And that's mainly what you got tonight, even in the parts of the speech where Trump wasn't mentioned.
Given the pandemic, given the number of people who are going to be voting by mail and the long lines that we can expect at the polling places, is it pretty likely that we might not know on election night?
It's very likely there would have to be a near landslide, a really big margin for us to be able to project the election on election night. It's not going to be election night. It's much more likely to be election week. And of course, the nightmare is it'll turn into election month or longer. We have a very strict calendar, and it's important that we have a decision before the beginning of December because of when the Electoral College meets and casts the ballots. Now, if you don't know what electors are coming from states that appear to be tied, you can't follow through on that step, which is the critical step, after which the electoral votes are sent to Congress to be read and certified in early January so that a president can be sworn in at noon on January 20th. But what's interesting is if we're unable to get a new president or vice president or a reconfirmation of Trump and Pence, then the person who would be taking over at noon on January 20th will be the Speaker of the House. And that's very likely to be the same person who's Speaker today, Nancy Pelosi. That won't be pleasant for Republicans, but that's what the Constitution reads. She would be acting president until such time as the dispute was resolved. And the dispute could go on for months.
Okay, so Larry, as I say goodbye to you, talk about nail biters on a nail biting. Is this a 10 out of 10 nail biter? Are you going to chew them all?
Oh, I think it is. No one trusts their judgment. No one trusts the polls after 2016. Part of it is PTSD. You know, people have PTSD, and
because it was
they don't.
because we all got it. Whoops.
Everybody got it wrong. Everybody got it wrong, and of course, all the Trump supporters have used that to debunk every fact check, every prediction, every observation made about Trump that is negative. So nobody wants that to happen again. You're going to find that the news media and the pundits and prognosticators are going to be very cautious because we should be, first of all, but second, we all remember 2016. So
All right.
this will be a race going right down to the finish line, and nobody is going to put it to bed before it's really sleepy.
And we will be looking at either President Trump, President Biden, or President Pelosi.